Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
Over the top, erroneous, out of context. Big Oil's new attack ad. President Obama's clean energy initiatives have helped create jobs for projects across America, not overseas. What about Mitt Romney? As a corporate CEO, he shipped American jobs to places like Mexico and China. As governor, he outsourced state jobs to a call center in India. He's still pushing tax breaks for companies that ship jobs overseas. It's just what you'd expect from a guy who had a Swiss bank account.
Welcome back to Morning Joe. That was a new ad from the Obama campaign that will be airing in Virginia, Ohio, and Iowa, hitting Mitt Romney on his Swiss bank accounts. And joining us now on set, Republican Senator from Oklahoma, Senator Tom Coburn. He's the author of the new book, The Debt Bomb, a bold plan to stop Washington from bankrupting America. Very good to have you back on the show, Senator.
Great to be with you.
Good to see you. Want to get straight to the news, or would you like to talk about that ad, Joe?
Well, yeah. Well, we can talk about that. I'd rather talk about Tom's book and what Tom's been doing since 1994, The Debt Bomb. Tom, I say it so much it makes me tired, and usually when I say it, I get killed on Twitter, I get killed in emails, I get killed online. Whenever I say that this problem is not a Republican problem, the debt bomb that's coming, it's not a Democratic problem. It's a Washington problem. I went to Washington like you in '94, and I actually believed my party was pure as driven snow. You and I together figured out in a couple of weeks that wasn't the case.
Didn't take that long.
Could you explain to those who have ears to hear what the real problem is in Washington, D.C., and why neither party will face down the debt bomb that's going to destroy this economy if we don't do it?
Sure. The problem is not gridlock. The problem is the members of both parties agree too much. If you think about it, how did we get to where we're $16 trillion in debt? We're running a $1.3 trillion deficit this year. Is because people are going to make the short-term politically expedient decision for their career rather than what is the best right thing for our country. And when you make the best right thing for our country, there's a political price to pay. And we're at the standpoint in the Senate now where Harry Reid doesn't want anybody to have to defend their position, so we don't do anything. We don't pass a budget.
And by the way, this is what I've been saying day in and day out, that Harry Reid is the president's pocket veto. Nothing that passes the House gets to the president, because Harry sits on it, right?
Well, but, you know, the decision is not to get to the president. The decision is to not have your members stand and take a vote and then go explain it. You know, this is the most predictable crisis this country has ever faced, and yet we've spent 2.5 years really doing nothing about it, and the impact on the average family, the impact on the retired senior, the impact on a student going to college. You know, 1 in 2 students can't get a full-time job now coming out of college. That's going to be 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5 if we allow this to continue. So what's in front of us is solvable, but it's not solvable with the career politician group that's in Washington today.
So let's put this in perspective. When we first ran in '94, I campaigned against, I'm sure you campaigned against, America's $4 trillion debt. By the time I left 7 years later, it was a $5 trillion debt. By the time George W. Bush left office 8 years later, it was an $11.5 trillion debt. Now it's a $16 trillion debt. 4 years from now, it'll be over $20 trillion. Yeah. These numbers just don't add up, Tom.
Well, they won't. We won't ever get to $20 trillion. And the reason we won't is the world isn't going to loan us the money. So the question is if we're going to have to make choices, and we're going to have to reform and secure Medicare, and we're going to have to fix Social Security, why are the politicians not doing it now?
Why aren't they?
Because they lack the courage, because they desire to get reelected more than they desire to fix the country. That's the answer.
I want to read an excerpt from the debt bomb, and then I have a question about how this might relate to a story we were doing yesterday. Personally, you say, I'm a fan of the Jack Welch principle in reverse for Congress. Welch is the successful former CEO of General Electric, used what was called the 10% rule to maintain efficiency and productivity at his company. Every year, the bottom 10% of the company would be replaced with new employees. A better approach for Congress would be to fire 90% of members every election and keep only 10% who are productive. This would diffuse the debt bomb in one election cycle. Obviously, it would. But we have a problem in Washington with what you were just saying, because everybody's there to get reelected, and they're also falling victim or prey or being weak to special interests and big corporations, are they not?
I don't think the problem, first of all, I said that tongue-in-cheek, you know, the Jack Welch. I have a lot of admiration for the way he ran GE. I don't think their special interest or big corporations is the problem. I think desire to be in power is the problem, and short-term thinking is the problem. And you think short-term because you have an election coming up. I think the paradox in America, what America is looking for is leadership. People are willing to speak to them like they're adults, talk about what the real problems are, and then say, here are the solutions, let's work on it.
You have a section in your book, Practical Steps for the Concerned Citizen. And one of the practical steps concerned citizens can take, you suggest, is the imposition of term limits. Now, we have, theoretically, term limits available to all of us. It's called the election process. How do you impose term limits on people, and when did you come to believe that term limits was such a critical component of this issue?
Well, I believed it from the first time I ran for Congress, said I'd serve 3 terms and go home, and I did. If you look at our history, look at the early first 100 years of this country, we didn't have long-term politicians in Washington. People served for a period of time and they went home. But the other thing is the people that came to Washington came with a real world of experience that was outside of public service.
They had real jobs.
They had real jobs. They brought that knowledge and applied that knowledge to critical decision-making on the issues of the day. What we have today is a large number of people who've never had any experience. They're wonderful people. Their hearts are great, but they lack real-world experience in many areas.
So let's talk about some people who are doing things right really quickly. We just brought up Ron Wyden, a guy that took a courageous stand on Medicare, and he's now being shunned in Democratic caucus meetings, basically ostracized because he dared to talk about Medicare.
Yeah, but why is that? Is because the politician wants to use Medicare as a wedge issue to get reelected. Ron Wyden says, we're all lying to the people on Medicare. In 5 years, there's no way it's going to be what it is today. We can't borrow enough money. Ron's made the intellectual assessment. We got to fix it. Now, what are the ways to fix it? You can micromanage it from a board in Washington, or you can say, let's use a premium support system, and let's do it over a period of time and give people some choice and let some market factors work in that. Ron is one of the persons I would think that a senior would say, gosh, he's really looking out for me, because the context isn't that you can leave Medicare alone.
Right.
We can't. But nobody will stand up and say that.
Well, that's what's so perverse about the whole thing is, John Meacham, those that claim that they are trying to protect Medicare are like a doctor that opens a cancer patient, looks at cancer, closes them back up, and says, you're healthy. Go. Instead of closing them back up and saying, we're going to have to make some really tough decisions to keep you alive.
Right. What I'm always curious about is the dynamic and the proportion of responsibility both for the leaders and the led. That is, we live in a country where, to quote, paraphrase Governor Romney, corporations are people, but special interests are people too. So you can term limit congressmen theoretically. You can talk about the political class. But at the end of the day, the federal government is by and large a cash transfer mechanism with money going to the broad American middle class. And so if the people don't decide that they want to get serious about this long-term debt, the leaders obviously are not going to react.
That's the whole purpose for the book, is to try to educate America on what's coming, how it's going to impact them, and is it not time to change? And the fact is the vast majority of people, when we have private conversations, and everybody knows we got to do these things. You know, you realize in 2022, where we sit today, the only thing that will be running from the federal government will be Medicare, Social Security, and interest on the debt. There will be no other government. Now, people say, "Oh, that's not true." Just look at the numbers.
It's math.
It's math, and what's going to happen in the very short period of time, the next 2 to 3 years, the international financial community, after all the money out of Europe and Japan runs here because we're the least wilted rose in the vase, it's then going to start running back out, and people are going to say, we're not loaning you the money at the interest rate. So here's the other point I would make. Politicians aren't going to make these choices until the pain is evident, and the pain is going to be rising interest rates. And you think about it, if we go back to historic rates on our debt, in other words, AAA plus debt, what's the historic rate? It's over 5, it's almost 6%. That adds $700 billion a year to our budget.
So I have a question about you. We were talking about leadership and math. And I'd like to bring fairness into it and taxes, and ask you about the Sunday New York Times piece about Apple and other major
Absolutely.
companies.
I'm livid about that.
Are you? And do you think that these companies should get a repatriation holiday to bring their money back in from overseas?
I think they're two different things, Mika. I think, first of all, we have a tax code. Why should Apple pay at 10% and some other company that can't export their technology?
A small business in Oklahoma.
Why are they paying 35%? The question is, let's get rid of the loopholes. Here's what it is. Let's have a territorial tax system where if you pay taxes over there, there's no penalty to bring it home. What's happening to us right now on our system is everybody that's really successful worldwide is keeping their capital out of here, and that capital is being invested somewhere other than America. So let's reform the tax code. That's my criticism of the president. Put a plan on the table. Let's fix it. Let's build some confidence in what our tax code is going to be the next 10 to 20 years. Let's lower the rates. Let's broaden the base. Let's eliminate a lot of deductions. And what you'll see is economic growth of about 4.5 or 5%.
So that's great big picture. I don't disagree at all. But would you vote for or against a repatriation holiday for these major companies that are lobbying for one? To bring their money back in at a lower tax rate?
I would do anything I could to send a signal to business that we want capital invested in this country.
So that's a yes?
That's a yes, but I would also work, I just sent a note yesterday through my staff to Senator Levin when the Apple story came out. I said, we've got to look at this. And we've been working, and we're going to work at these tax havens where you can pay no taxes. But it's not just the Caribbean, it's Ireland.
But
that's how they did it.
I don't understand the yes, because if you do support that, then they can bring the money back in. And in 2004, they had a repatriation holiday, and the money was not used for job creation.
Well, not as much
that they promised they would use it for.
I agree. And so if you do that, then you have to have hard controls on where the money goes. But you can't just do that. You got to reform the tax code. If we don't reform our corporate tax code, we're in a global economy. We're not competitive now. We now have the highest corporate tax in the world, and only those that have intellectual property that can move the location of that intellectual property offshore can get down where, why GE? There's a lot of consternation on why GE's paying no taxes. I would tell you that's a stupid tax code. And we need to reform it. And we need to get rid of the loopholes, the good old boy, the well-endowed, the well-connected, I've made something for me. Let's clean it out. Let's make it transparent, and let's make it fair.
So look, you and President Obama were friends in the Senate. Mm-hmm. We like him. We've spent some time with him, and we like him personally, respect him as a man, as a father, as a husband. Great intellect. Why is it that this president, he's president of the United States. He's been sitting in the Oval Office now for over 3 years. Why hasn't he pushed for tax reform on a grand scale to make Apple and other corporations pay their fair share? Why hasn't he pushed for Medicare reform? Why hasn't he pushed for Social Security reform? He says all the right things, but he doesn't step up when push comes to shove. What do you think it is about this president, a guy you worked with and like and know and respect?
I think he knows it has to be done. I can't answer that question for him. We've had conversations where I actually believe if we could create a grand bargain, he'd go for a grand bargain.
You think he would?
Yeah, I believe him when he tells me that.
The grand bargain, entitlement.
The grand bargain is you change entitlements,
more tax revenue,
you
defense
reform
cuts.
the tax code, the whole works. I think he'd go for that. The question is how do you create the political dynamic where it's safe for the next election for you to do that? So that's why nothing's happening in Washington.
You and I hate taxes.
I think I don't hate taxes.
Okay,
I hate disproportionate taxes where we treat people differently because they're well connected.
So, well, and same here, but you do understand, right? And other Republicans do understand there will never be a deal with Democrats unless we Republicans are willing to give on new revenue and Democrats are willing to give on big entitlement cuts. You agree with that?
I agree.
Okay.
But when you talk about no common ground or no sanity, which we heard earlier today, there is one piece of intellectual and ideological common ground here, which is you've been speaking in Jacksonian terms, that you don't want people who have connections, special privileges to benefit. And that is a fundamental tenet of liberalism, of FDR liberalism, that you even things out. And Harry Truman once said, you know, a president's supposed to look after the little guy who has no pull. That's what a president's supposed to do. And Republicans want to let the little guy become the big guy. So why, with that sort of common sense of purpose, does it just get overwhelmed by, as you say, the day-to-day pressures of the cycle?
It's the election cycle. Everybody's waiting to do the right thing out there on the mirage of the next election. And as soon as they're past the next election, instead of fixing things, there's the next election. And so that's why I would tell you is that's why you want people to come for a short period of time. So I don't care about getting reelected. I mean, you take Ron Johnson, Senator Ron Johnson, one of the freshest ideas to come to the Senate in a long time, because he actually doesn't care. He cares about our country. He's going to work as hard as he can to try to fix it. And if he doesn't get reelected, that's fine. He has a much better job back in Wisconsin. And we need more people like that. The real shame in our country is people who have benefited in this country from our country won't enter the political arena because of the nastiness of it. They won't make the sacrifice to come and serve.
Because of us.
Well,
well, not because of us, because of you specifically.
It's called the Barnacle
The
Problem.
book is The Debt Bomb. Senator
Congratulations,
Coburn.
Tom.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for your service.
Exclusive new insight into the raid that killed Osama bin Laden. NBC's Jim Mikolashevsky joins us along with the former director of the National Counterterrorism Center, Michael Leiter, who was inside